Welcome back to Stories from the River. This is your host, Charlie Malouf, and today we've got a special treat. I'm here with Mitch Dixon. Let me introduce Mitch for us, for our audience. A husband, a father, an entrepreneur, a general manager here at the River, a member of Omega Sci-Fi Incorporated Sigma Theta chapter, and a philanthropist. Mitch, here we go. Welcome to the podcast.
Thanks, man. Thanks. You killed it. I was waiting to see how that came out, man. That came out great. I love it.
That's a lot of titles here. That's a lot of titles. We're gonna get into some of them.
Welcome to Stories from the River, a show in which we go behind the scenes at Broad River Retail.
You were recognized with a really nice award at the recent Memory Maker Annual Awards Gala, GM of the Year in 2023. Congratulations.
Thanks, man. Thanks. I appreciate it. It's high honor for that award.
Yeah, it's a competitive award. We got more and more stores every year. So, we wanted to bring you on to speak to you about how you elevated in 2023, but also we wanted to use this opportunity to get to know your story better. We're going back to the long form interviews here, the one-on-one interviews at Stories from the River. So before we get into your history with the river, which I want to get all into, can you share a little bit about your personal and professional history and background for us?
Yeah. Just so I was a kid born in South Carolina. Kind of moved around. My dad was a basketball coach. High school basketball coach. So wherever he went, I followed. So Charleston, Hartsville, some of my South Carolina natives know some of these towns, but
I know those towns.
Yeah. Charleston, Hartsville, Sherrod, Columbia. So I'm kind of used to starting new and making new friends and, I was all-state mentioned in basketball in high school. And so end up going to Johnson C. Smith, played basketball there, transferred a couple times. I tell you, I'm used to starting new places. So, and ended up finishing at Voorhees College. So, moved around a bit, and then I landed here in the Charlotte area, where I started to really start my career.
Awesome. Where's Voorhees College?
It's it's 20 minutes from Orangeburg.
Okay.
Small town.
Yeah.
Really big mosquitoes.
Really big mosquitoes. Small town, big mosquitoes. I like that. That should not be their slogan. So what was your position in basketball?
High school, I played guard and forward, and then college, guard, one guard, two guard.
What was your best game in high school or college?
When I was at West Ashley, we played against North Charleston, and I had 35 points. Yeah, that's awesome. 35 points.
You lit it up.
I lit it
Did
up.
you guys win?
We did win that game.
Okay,
yeah.
That's good. I went to a high school basketball game this past Friday with my son's school. Okay, so Mitch, you put husband and father. I know you're a family man, so tell us about your family.
Yeah. So my beautiful wife, we've been married for going on 4 years. Going on April. Have 2 kids. Have a 3-year-old daughter who will be 4 this year, and my son will be 1 in a few days. 1 in a few days. Yeah.
All right, we're recording this the day after the Super Bowl. Who are you cheering for?
Man, I'm a big Cowboys fan, man. So I hate the Niners. So I'm just glad they lost.
Okay, I got you. And what's your daughter's and your son's name?
Harper. And my son's name is Cairo.
That's awesome.
Yeah.
How do you spell Cairo?
Cairo, like Egypt. Yeah,
okay, that's
Cairo
awesome.
Yeah.
All right. So now, do you still play basketball?
Not like I used to, Charlie, man. I work out, but I can still, if you give me the rock, I can still shoot it. I can handle it, but I don't play that much no more.
All right. So besides working out, what are some of your hobbies outside of work?
I know besides working out, but I take that's it's a big hobby of mine. It really gets my mind going. I really love to, spend time with my kids, take them. I love to travel. Mm-hmm. Me and my wife, our plan is to, touch every state in the country. So love to travel and love to spend time with the kids.
Awesome. So where's your next trip?
We are planning to go to St. Lucia. Have you heard of St. Lucia?
Have I been there? No, but I've been to the Caribbean.
I just found out about it. It's this place someone posted on Facebook. I was like, that looks really good, and it's an island down by Brazil. I want to go there.
Okay.
Yeah.
If you ever want some Caribbean tips, we can trade notes.
Man, let me know, man. Let me know.
I can't. Turks and Caicos, put that one on your list.
Okay.
All right. So now, how long have you been in the industry?
Retail, I've been, I want to say 10 years now. About 10 years now. I started sales at Sears.
Okay.
You know, just someone to just ring up, you know, as a cashier.
Okay.
And so just kind of started from there. And then market source, I don't know anybody knows the kiosk that normally, you know, people sell cell phones on Walmart and Target. I was one of those guys, annoying guys. Like, hey.
Did you sell any cell phones doing that?
Sometimes.
Okay.
But most of the time I was just annoying people that were trying to find where the milk was.
Okay. But hey, I guess you used to hear and know and how to break ground with people.
Yeah, it definitely, it tests your patience.
Yeah, that's right. So then before you came to Broad River, you were another home furnishings. Was that your first foray into furniture?
Yeah. Cons, Home Plus, where I started, where I really feel like I really started to get my, you know, just getting familiar and just kind of getting my comfort level in retail industry. Started at Cons in Charlotte and kind of moved around, got moved up a few times. I realized hey, I'm really good at this. And so, and ultimately kind of got me here where I'm at now.
Did you start in sales with Cons and then go into management?
Yeah. So I started in sales. It's honestly a quick story. When I started at Cons, I wasn't that great at sales. I just needed a job at the time. You know, at the time I was, you know, 24, trying to figure it out. Like I just need a job. Just give me a job. And
yeah, we all been there.
Yeah. And so got a job, paid $10 an hour plus commission. I sucked the first month, but then I kind of realized like, hey, I can probably do this. And I got my first commission check and I just took off from there.
Okay. So how long were you let's see, how long were you with Cons Home Plus total?
About 6 years.
6 years?
Yeah.
And then how long were you in sales before they said, hey, you're someone who can grow with us?
I think after the first few months, the first month wasn't great. The second month, I think I really found out who I was. And then by the third month, they saw, hey, this kid can really do something in our company. So it only took a few months.
Was working at kiosk, was that what kind of helped getting you ready?
Charlie, it's the best thing that could have happened to me, man. Being told no a million times was a whole lot easier to be told no inside of a store.
Yeah.
Like where you're selling stuff.
Yeah. So it prepared you for this career and for future growth. So I believe Renee had been recruiting you for quite some time before you joined Broad River.
Yeah.
And then we invited you to come see what our culture was about by attending, I'm not sure if it was our 2020 annual kickoff RX meeting or the first one in February. But I can vividly.
It was 2020. It was definitely 2020.
Yeah, it was either January or early February.
Yep.
Early or late February. But I can remember meeting you in the Tiger River room that day with Stacy and Manny. And I think Stacy was either on his day zero too, or he had just started.
He was new at the time. Yeah, I remember. He was new.
So what do you remember about that experience?
Well, first off, let me back up. Broad River had recruited me for a couple years.
Yeah.
I think everybody kind of had their hands in it a little bit.
More than just Renee.
Yeah. Renee was honestly, while I was at Cons, was someone I could just text if I needed to just vent or just to just kind of speak to someone. She was always available. We would meet up for lunch, and so after a couple years, it just kind of like, weighed, and I figured, hey, I want to go here and make the next move. I got a call from Carl, got a call from Stacy, so they did the whole TO process, closing the deal, and
TO, that's for our audience. That's a turnover.
Turnover to the person that's going to make the deal happen.
It's also called a team opportunity.
Team opportunity, yeah. And so,
so they put the full court press on you.
They did, but I think it was greatest decision I've ever made, Charlie. Greatest decision I ever made.
Well, that's great. So you went back. That's the 2 years of recruitment.
Yep.
And I remember, like, you were high on the leaderboard. Like, this is a big talent.
Yeah.
He's always in position. You were in Hickory at the Cons Home Plus store, right?
I was.
So you came in to see what the culture was about.
Yeah.
So just walk us through that experience. Well, what did you like? Because did you make that decision right away, or was it still a few more months after that time?
I didn't make it right away, but let me just say this. Cons gave me a great platform to be able to be in leadership. So I always, my hat's off to them. But just looking at the culture at Broad River, it was complete different. It was just hot and cold. When I got in, I said, man, these stores have actual team names.
Yeah.
And like, we're celebrating and we're getting me involved. I don't even work here, and I'm getting involved, and everybody was happy. I was like, man, that's something I want to be a part of, but I just wasn't ready at the time. But eventually, it happened.
Okay. So, but it was during the pandemic, was it not?
It was actually right before the pandemic. So it was some COVID traces before that in February, if anybody remembers.
Mm-hmm.
And I think during March and April is when it really hit.
Mm-hmm.
And I think, so luckily it was right before all that stuff happened.
Okay. And so when you joined Broad River, what was your first role with the company? And in what store? Yeah,
general manager at the university store. I partnered with Chris Barrier, who I was just being co-GM at the time when I first came.
And when did you take over as GM in Gastonia?
January 22.
Okay. So you were in university, or were you in Hickory?
Yeah, no. So I started, I was in Hickory at Cons, came over to Broad River, became a co-GM with Chris Berry at University, November and December. And then Renee gave me the opportunity to get my own store and took off from January 22.
In Gastonia?
In Gastonia.
Okay, that's phenomenal. And what was your mindset when you took over?
Just don't turn away from the things that got me here. I think we all know we go through things in life, or we go through challenges, and sometimes you can either do two things. You can learn from it or keep making the same mistake. And, I chose to learn, and just trust my instincts and just, do what made me get to that point.
Yeah. So, you talked about the team names. We love to say purpose begins with identity.
Yeah.
It's not store 231 or 321.
Oh, man. Yeah.
So I believe early on you decided to change the name of the Gastonia, the identity in Gastonia, from what to what?
The Game Changers
is the new one, right?
Is a new one. Yeah. I feel like when you go inside somewhere, you want to get the trust of your team. You also want to have a fun engagement environment. You want to, have something that you can stand on. And I felt like that was a good change for us.
So your mindset was, we're going to come change the game.
We're going to come change the game.
That's right. It. So was that just your decision solely, or did you kind of partner with the leadership at the store at that time and get their feedback?
I think it was a little bit of both. I wanted to create an identity or have at least put on the table like, hey, guys, from this point, let's achieve something different. Let's go beyond. And so let's do something different. So it was more collaborative.
Yeah. I think maybe it was the Gastonia Grinders.
Grinders at first, yeah.
And so that didn't really resonate with you guys. And we let each new GM, when they take over a store, if they want to re-identify it, and bring their own flavor to it, we let them do that. So you mentioned you like even the team names. How important is it, in your opinion, for a retail store to have its own unique identity? And how have you leaned into this to build culture within your store with your team?
Well, I think a lot of us watch sports, and we just saw the game last night with the Chiefs and 49ers, and each one of those teams, you can say, hey, we have an identity, right? Mm-hmm. And so with the Chiefs, we know it's Patrick Mahomes, it's the play calling, and the 49ers traditionally are very good on defense, the run game, the whole thing. So if you don't have an identity, there's nothing that you can really stand on when you are up against adversity.
Yeah.
So you want to have something you can fall on, and that's what we want to do. Fall on, have an identity, so that way we can, during hard times, we know what we are.
Yeah, and I guess even with Game Changers, it's all about evolution. It's like, we're not going to be stuck in our ways. We're going to find new ways to, and also we're not going to be stuck behind, what we believe we could achieve, before then.
Yeah,
I think
for sure.
Didn't you guys just get Gastonia promoted to a gold level store?
We did. A silver store at first. We worked hard. We could have gotten it the first year, fell just short. And then, I told our team, hey, we are going to hit gold, by the summer, and we did. And we remain gold too. Yeah,
it's just a revenue threshold that we have. It's been in place for 7, 8, 9 years.
Yeah.
And it makes it just a level playing set for everyone. And you can get yourself promoted, your store promoted by raising the revenue. So that's phenomenal.
Let me thank you, Charlie, because I don't think there's a lot of retail places where you can get promoted within your own store. Like that's that's something that's innovative. Thank you so much.
Well, you're welcome. But look, progress is motivating and energizing.
Yeah.
And let me thank you for taking the store to another level, right? Okay, so we talked about COVID, and if you can allow yourself to reflect back on the pandemic, and I won't rest here too long, but just go back for a little bit. What was that experience like leading a retail team during the pandemic?
Yeah, at the time I was at cons, and I think just not even being at cons, I think every retail was going through some turbulence, right, and or some not being sure. And I think all of us remember where we were at the time when we started to realize, hey, this thing isn't going anywhere. This thing is real. And so I think everybody was kind of unsettled. Hey, what's going to happen? You know, what does this mean for me and my family, for my job? If there is a job, do I need to change jobs? And so as far as going back to that time, man, I'm thankful to be I was thankful to be in a retail place that still can provide the income that I had. And we got through it. It was tough, but we got through it.
I got two questions on that, two more. How did you keep people safe and sane, as well as positive and upbeat? I mean, you got a job to do, you got business to write, right? And there's supply chain challenges.
Right.
So it's like just safe and mentally sane and then positive and upbeat. How do you approach that?
Man, it's so funny. I use this analogy all the time, with your kids. If you're going through something at home, or you're not able to pay the light bill, or you're not sure where the next meal is going to come from, you're not going to go and tell your kid, hey, I'm not sure where our next meal is going to come from, and not sure how the lights are going to be on next week. But you don't want to break them apart. So what you do is you keep them confident, you keep them happy, keep them distracted, so to speak, and you want to be transparent at a certain level. And that's what I did with my team, was transparent. I told them, hey, I was unsure, but I told them that, hey, we have a great foundation where we've been through things before, and we'll make it up. We'll make it up.
That's great advice.
Yeah.
Being real, but looking forward towards a better outcome, and that you'll get through it. So what did you learn about yourself, or maybe about leadership during the pandemic?
It takes collaboration. It really does. It takes collaboration, just being able to lean on one another, and just thankful for my wife, just having foundation at home to where I can go home and I know leaving the house, just knowing, hey, I have someone that I can reason with. I have somebody that can snap me back in it whenever I'm going off the rails. So I think a good foundation at home is key.
Yeah, that's a great point. All right, switching gears. August 2022, you're in Gastonia. We're on a tour with Todd Wanick, the CEO of Ashley Furniture. And we visited the Gastonia store on our tour, which was a little bit like off-putting for me. I got Todd in my car. I got to make sure I'm driving safely everywhere. What was that experience like for you? Because he had some high praise for you. Your numbers were through the roof. And what was that experience like?
Man, it's as confident as I am. It's always nerve-wracking when we always say throwing a party at the store. And when you say party, you mean, hey, the CEO is going to be there, the COO is going to be there, the vice president is going to be there. Everybody's going to be at your store for 30 minutes or so. And so it was nerve-wracking, but like I mentioned earlier, Charlie, you just lean on to what you are, lean on to your identity. And, it looks like I let a great impression for him. So thankful for that.
Yeah, that was awesome. Okay, so you had a good year in 2022, came just shy of gold. Let's go to 2023. That was a really special and memorable year, a year in which you won the prestigious GM of the Year award. So what were your goals entering 2023, other than going to gold?
That was always a goal of mine, Charlie, is winning General Manager of the Year, just from the beginning.
Really?
And so I want to give a quick shout out to Bonnie Powell. She won it in 22. So it was bittersweet to see her walk on stage, because that's my buddy. Like, she's someone that I call, and when she won, I just made a go, hey, I want to win GM of the Year. But that was just a lag measure, right? Like, we see this product, we see this finished product. I think we all saw the Super Bowl with Usher, and he had a great halftime performance. Well, that was just a finished product. I'm sure they did days and days of training. And so I knew getting a GM of the Year would take a lot of work within those months, a lot of collaboration, meetings, action, and downfalls. Like, there's sometimes things just doesn't work out. And so it was just very relieving to come out the end to get that award.
I've not heard that put like that way. Like getting the award was just the lag measure. That's well said. So, okay, well, talk to us about your mindset going into the year.
Yeah, just relentless. I think as a coming into leadership when I was young, I think I was really raw. I was talented, but I feel like I was really raw. I knew what it took to run a business, but I really didn't have the personal skills to read body language with my own team. And so that's something that I took pride in to find out what inspires your team. Inspiration is the highest human act form that anybody can give. So inspiration was key, last year.
So when we just had our town hall, I remember in the chat you put in that you thought the word of the year for 2024 was going to be relentless. I remember, so that word really resonates with you, doesn't it? Amazon.com was also called Relentless by Jeff Bezos. In fact, I think if you still go to relentless.com, someone can test this out. It'll redirect.
Really?
to
I didn't know that. I didn't know
story
that.
about
they
that.
are relentless, man. I can't go a day without saying Amazon.
That's right. They're all over the place. Okay, so tell us about the stats and the key performance indicators that you guys achieved in last year in Gastonia.
Yeah, so out of all the stores, I want to say it's 31, 32 stores. We were the only store that actually, and this is actually going back. It's very hard to. It's okay to hit your numbers one year, but everyone in retail knows it's really hard to beat your own numbers.
That's right.
And that's something that we were able to do and finish highly in certain categories. A diamond care, which is warranty, which is, cowbell, which is, applications ran. And overall, our employee engagement survey came out second in our region too. So not only did we win, but our team loved working there too.
And that's really well said. And it wasn't like you had the same people in 23 as you had in 22, because some of them got transferred and moved on, and so you lost some of your A players as well, and you didn't rebuild, you reloaded.
Like anybody watch college football, man, you don't rebuild, you reload. And that's something to be expected, Charlie. Whenever you have success at a place, people are going to get promoted, so you plan to lose people and just reload.
Mm-hmm. Okay, so I want to give you an opportunity to talk about your team. What can you share about the people who contributed to the game changer success last year?
Man, it was just a total team effort in the store and out. Renee, obviously, being my support. Chris Barrier, giving me advice. And then inside the store, Zach Wisnick, who's worked for Broad River for years. I want to say, what is it, 10 years, 9 years?
Perennial $1 million memory maker.
He's in the Broad River Hall of Fame. I'm proud to, be able to develop some talent while I was there. Stephanie Burke is someone I hired, that now she's an expert in the store. Godwin's been there for a long time. So I can go down a list. Anna Thacker, I can go down a list.
Okay. And at what point during the year did you really start to think and believe we can really have a special year if we keep it going?
That's a great question. I'm so in the moment that I really don't, I'm a grinder, so to speak. When I look down, I work, and then I expect the time that I do look up, I can look back and say, "Oh wow, look how much work we've done." So I just always push ahead, and I look at the results when I get to the end.
Okay, so everything was going really well for like the first 9 months, and then we got a little bit derailed. We got hit with the cyber incident at the beginning of October.
Yes.
How did you and the team respond during that traumatic event?
It's good to have things that happen to you, so that way you can be able to cope with change. I think COVID gave us a nice lesson that, hey, unforeseen things are going to happen. And luckily for us, our company did a great job of being able to get out of that pretty swiftly. Quick. So I told our team, look, guys, this is something that's here right now, but it's not going to be here forever. Let's just continue to do the things that we know how to do, and then we'll make it out. We'll make it out the end.
Yeah. Well said. So as you look back and reflect, because you're not grinding today, we're taking a little bit of pause time.
Yeah.
What do you think will stand out from last year?
Anyone that does a certain line of work knows that there's going to be days that you just don't feel well. There's going to be stretches it just doesn't go right. And you just got to, put your head down and, do what you know how to do. And those things come down to the very last day or last week of the year. And I remember our team telling our team, hey, guys, we're a week away from hitting budget. And just think about that Tuesday in February or that, Friday when 3 people called out, right? And so you get through those days to get to the end. And I think overall the most memorable part, Charlie, is just our team being able to get towards the end and finish it out.
Is that your favorite memory from last year? If not, what would you say is your favorite memory?
I mean, I've had some great experience with the gala, the expert dinner. Being in the Panther Stadium was nice. You taking us to a Steak 48.
Yeah, the expert soiree.
Man, awesome.
That was
awesome.
Good. We're going to get into that. So what are you most proud of from 2023? And from because you're no longer in Gastonia.
Yeah.
You've now moved up back to the university store, leading that store. So what, from your entire tenure, I guess 2 years in Gastonia, and from last year, what are you most proud of?
It's funny you asked that. It's actually not work related, but it has everything to do with how I performed as my wife. My wife being, she actually worked at Cons. She worked at Cons, and she decided to go into real estate. And when she went into real estate, she obviously helped take care of the kids at home. So without that support system, Charlie, I'm just not as good as I am.
I love that.
Yeah, my foundation.
Big shout out to her.
Big shout out to my wife.
Okay, so you talked about the gala and the Bank of America Stadium. How was it? I don't know if you were surprised or expecting it, but how was it being announced as the general manager of the year at the gala last month?
I didn't want to jinx myself. I had a feeling it was me because I'm always looking at the KPIs. I was looking at the KPIs at the end of the year. I'm like, man, I think it's me. It should be me, but I just don't know yet. And it's funny, Charlie, people were like kind of softly congratulating me before they announced it. Like, yeah, man, you're going to win it. I'm just like, don't say that. You're going to jinx it. And end up winning. And when I got up there, man, I was just super, super proud, and relieved. Yeah. Relieved too.
Did you have your speech and talking points ready?
I started to get a speech together, but I then thought that would jinx me too. So
I got you.
So I had nothing prepared.
All right. So we also have something called the Retail Performance Council. This is where the top performing GMs earn the right to serve on a leadership development and advisory council.
Yeah.
When did you become a member of the RPC?
Within my first 6 months when I was eligible. Wow. The first 6 months of eligibility, I got voted in and has been a part of that committee ever since then, and so I'm just thankful.
Yeah, and what's that experience been like for you?
I've never worked for a company that focuses so much on leadership development, and me being selected, it just gave me so much more perspective, and ultimately led me to some of these awards that I've won. And so, yeah, leadership, coaching, and just experience is what they gave me.
And I think in the RPC, everyone's got to kind of have to take a certain responsibility.
Yeah.
And so what other leadership opportunities have you had or been asked to do? Don't you lead some of the Win Wednesday calls?
I do. I've gotten good feedback on Win Wednesday calls. And,
yeah, they're pretty energetic.
Yeah. And Win Wednesday calls are, with our sales managers who are working that day. Usually our general managers are off on Wednesday, and they'll get on call. It starts at 8:30, and as an RPC member, I host the call. I generally try to get games involved. I've gotten some good feedback. People love the games that I play, but you wake up that early. You don't want to drag through the morning. Right. You want some stuff to get you going.
That's awesome. Okay, you talked about the expert soiree and Steak 48. Did you attend both of the HFV soirees, the one at Oak Steakhouse and then the one at Steak 48?
I did. I love both, Charlie, but let me tell you, Steak 48, man, that was the best one.
Yeah.
Yeah, I loved it.
I think it just got voted top 50 most romantic restaurants in America. It's a special place.
It's only a few of them in the country, right?
That's right. That's right. Yeah.
Lucky.
So, Mitch, how meaningful do you think is an event like that for someone who earns the elite title of home furnishings expert?
Yeah, it's just it puts you in a class to where it makes you thankful, but also makes you wanna go more. Just being rewarded like that, it keeps you going.
So, Mitch, we're coming down the final stretch run of part 1. Okay. I want to bring you back for part 2, but I just got a couple more questions for you here. Cool. And we'll conclude this one. All right. So we talked earlier about, you thought the word of the year might be relentless. We just introduced our 2024 word of the year, connect. And as I mentioned, last year's word of the year was elevate. And prior to that, we had thrive in 2022. We had forward together, 2 words in 2021. So how important have annual themes been in contributing to our culture, as well as rallying everyone around a common idea for the year, in your opinion?
I think it helps sets the tone for the year. And I think whenever you go through stretches throughout the year, as I've been saying before, just having a word that you can go to helps you reestablish, okay, what our goal is. What are we trying to do? And I think a word like connect means so much on so many different levels, whether it's with your team, with your guests, even with yourself personally, before you go to work, with your family. So I think that word was the perfect word for this year.
Yeah, you're like, what you're talking about is like an anchor or a foundation for yourself to go back to. So last question, how do you try to infuse the word of the year to your store's goals and initiatives?
I think I want to connect with our store, each person in our store personally. I think I've gotten a lot better with that, but I think that goes for everyone. If you can connect with someone personally, then you're able to get that inspiration. I want to be able to inspire at the highest level.
I think that's a really good point. Was it Brian Connolly or someone who works with you now in the store? Yeah. And I think he was getting a text message from you saying he was at Retail 101, and I think you were checking in. And just that high touch check in. Of course, he did say in his bio that he was with GM of the Year, Mitch Dixon.
I did not tell him to say that.
Oh, that's pretty funny. It's a great part of his bio. All right, Mitch, that's part 1 of our Mitch Dixon GM of the Year series. We're going to bring back Mitch for the next episode. So, Mitch, let's come back. Let's run this back.
Cool. Let's do it.
All right. Thanks so much for joining us here at Stories from the River.
Thanks for listening to Stories from the River. To check out more episodes, visit storiesfromtheriver.com. Join us again next week, and remember to like, rate, and subscribe to the podcast.